Today's date is November 16th, 2023. The time is 10:01 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. In attendance is Commissioners Brooks, Commissioners Duncan on the telephone, and Commissioner Matari. Are there any changes to the agenda? Yeah, we'd like to move items 2 and 3 to the very end. Anything else? Hearing nothing, let's begin with our first, actually, public comment. Does anyone have any public comment? Anyone online? No? Okay, let's move into business. First item, bonus payments request, Parks and Waterways and Noxious Weed Control employees. Nick Snyder.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nick Snyder for the record. Yes, before you is a request to distribute our annual service awards in the amount of $150 to those employees that have performed well in 2023, and this funding was included in our BOCC-approved fiscal year 24 budget. Your approval here would authorize the Auditor's Office to include those payments in pay period 25, which occurs on December 7th. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Commissioner Brooks?
No question.
Commissioner Duncan?
No questions.
I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the bonus payment request for Parks and Waterways and Noxious Weed Control employees.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Next item is additional FTE request with community development, and this is an action item. Is this in our, this should be in our folders.
This is just additional information.
Okay.
So Chris Garland, for the record, Community Development. So the request for an additional building inspector is due to the extreme high volume. The small packet I gave you was just merely to show the amount of inspections that we are performing on a daily basis. So roughly, approximately, we are doing anywhere from 80 to nearly 95 inspections a day with only 6 inspectors. We are roughly anywhere from 7 to 9 working days out in inspections. Our permit holders are extremely upset with our department, mainly the building department, because of the time for requested building inspections to occur, especially during the cold weather. We require that any concrete placed, you have to have inspection the same day due to make sure that the ground is not frozen. So that is a challenge for us to attain. We are adding on inspections to already overloaded inspectors that they have for the day. So that is my request, the reasoning for my request for the additional inspector.
Any questions?
Yeah, a little bit. I've heard more from people who have problems with inspections than anything else, especially in the last 6 weeks. And I don't know why that is, maybe because of the weather coming on and people
Yes.
get frantic about getting things done. But this doesn't only affect the inspection, it affects the builder, it affects the owner, it affects the economy, because some of these things are not going to get done.
Correct.
And so I'm appreciate what you do, but we got to do more of it.
Commissioner Duncan?
Sorry, it always takes me a second to get off mute. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this, especially because of the one inspector on FMLA, and I'm not sure if Christina has the answer to this, but I believe that adding this, their fee increase and stuff may be able to cover partial of this new position, if not all of it.
I believe so, due to that we still have a few open senior building inspector positions that we have not filled yet. So I believe this would help.
Okay. Anything else? Commissioner Duncan, Commissioner Brooks?
How many FTEs, it says additional FTE request? How many,
I have 2 and then 1
no, how many are we requesting?
Oh, just 1,
Just one, okay, okay. Okay,
unless I can have 2.
Well, you have one on FMLA, so do you have an ETA on that?
No, I don't. He keeps pushing his date back further and further, so I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Motion?
I move that we approve the FTE, the request for one additional FTE with community development.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye.
Okay.
you.
Motion approved. Next up, item 5, AMP on-call comp time only,
Thank you.
adult misdemeanor probation, and Keith Hutchinson.
Good morning, Commissioners. Coming for you, it was a budget-approved item to bring this forward. It's an agreement between the probation officers and AMP. It's a budget neutral, doesn't come with any financial backing behind it. It's just time only. If they leave, it's gone. If it's transferred, it's gone. They just have to use it within 90 days of the week that they've been on call. Each officer averages 2 weeks every 5 months. And it can be back-to-back or spread out how they do it. Again, I want to thank Linnell and Dave Ferguson and HR for helping me put this together.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Commissioner Brooks?
No, sir.
Commissioner Duncan, any questions?
None, thank you.
I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the on-call comp time only for adult misdemeanor probations.
I'll second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Next up, item 6, countywide open positions with human resources. This is a discussion item, and Sylvia Proud.
Yes, Sylvia Proud for the record. At the October elected officials meeting, there was a request that HR provide a summary of open positions on a regular basis. So that is what we're doing. We ran the report on November 9th of 2023, and we provided you, at that date, there were 106 positions open. Of those, there's about 66 positions that are difficult to hire for, and that includes our attorneys and our Sheriff's Department staff members. Last year at that same time, we had 128 openings. So I've provided you with a report that shows openings by elected official, and then within the open position report, you also have a little more detail as to what positions are open and so forth. So just wanted to provide you with that information, see if you have any questions, if you'd like to get that information differently. Do you want a presentation every month? Those sort of things.
Okay, thoughts?
I think it's fine.
Yeah. Commissioner Duncan?
I think monthly is fine. Do we know out of the 106 how many are funded at 50%?
Yes, I did pull that number, and there are 49 of those open positions are funded at 50%. So pretty much almost half.
Yeah. Yeah, I think monthly would be good, just so we
Okay.
can keep tabs on it as we hopefully fill some of these positions.
Okay,
So,
we will
okay.
do that.
All right. Thank you. Next item is number 7, pre-screening applicants. It's an action item. I'm listed on here. Really, I guess it could be an action item. I was just asking or wondering if it makes sense to have HR do some initial interviews with applicants as opposed to pre-screening the resumes and then having the board.
In other words, a face-to-face
That or over the phone.
phone, yeah.
Just to kind of pre-screen with some basics. It's not unusual in HR departments and other corporations to do that a little bit before they actually bring somebody in. Kind of like background, validating where they work, the dates, and things like that.
Would that be a bad burden on you guys if we did that, or?
Zach Newkirk for the record. That wouldn't be a burden for us. It's something that we are able to do and do for some departments by request. Every department has different needs, and that's something that we've facilitated in the past. So if that's what we want to do with particular positions, just let me know.
Yeah. Commissioner Duncan, any thoughts on that?
I think for at least the commissioner level, we just have our staff and department heads, so I don't think it's going to be very often, hopefully, or very burdensome for our level.
Yeah.
And we do tailor our recruitment efforts based on what the elected official or the department head wants. So we would make sure that we always extend that kind of service, and then they can pick and choose if they want us to pre-screen for them.
Yeah. That's fine. It really was just an item just to discuss with the board and see if they wanted to do that, and either way is fine. So, preference? Do you want to do it?
I would like you to do it myself. I think it'll cut down on a lot of wasted time down the line a little bit.
Yes, I agree. Do you want this to start, me to get into the process right now of contacting the commissioners in the office to figure out exactly what criteria to screen for?
We can do that.
That's not, that's a one-time,
Yeah, just
Yep.
a one-time thing.
Yeah, once we've established kind of a guidance of basic
Sure.
material that we're screening for, then we can work with that.
absolutely.
Sure. Okay. It's an action item. You want to do a motion?
Yeah, I move that we direct HR staff to do pre-screening of applicants for county positions.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
I think it's just for BOCC level. I don't think we can go into other elected officials for that pre-screening, but I would say, yes for BOCC.
Okay. Okay, motion approved. Next up is item 8, and that, I believe, is going to be an executive session. Do you,
We could do some general information
Okay.
about the agreement, just like how we got here sort of thing. But if you want more detail, we would have to go into executive session.
okay, well, this is a retirement and release agreement, Sheriff Patrol, Sylvia Proud.
Yes. So we have been working over the past several months to get to, with the employee on a retirement and release agreement and a temporary reassignment for duties. And so it's been a cooperative effort with the Sheriff's Office, Darren Murphy, the Prosecutor's Office, and HR, and the Board of County Commissioners. And based on the direction we received from the board, the agreement that we have before you today is the final agreement, and the employee has signed off on that. So we are seeking the board's approval for your signature, and then everything goes into motion. And November 27th, the employee will report to the prosecuting attorney's office.
Okay. Questions? Commissioner Brooks?
No, I have no problem.
Commissioner Duncan?
I might abstain on this one. I think there's a section C that, well, let me ask the question. Sylvia, on section C, had the board already approved that part of it.
Yes, because we're doing a combination of maintaining work status and then utilizing the individual's leave.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
There would be a few weeks because the individual would stop accruing leave at a certain period, but when you look at it in whole, they would have accrued the time if we had allowed it. So it's kind of mute, but there would be probably about 4 weeks of admin leave with pay. And
Okay, thank
originally
you.
we had requested the request had been a lot more.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Okay, it's an action item. I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the retirement and release agreement for the sheriff's office, sheriff and patrol.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari,
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved. Next up, items 2 and, Dave, can we do 2 and 3 together? Yeah. Yeah, okay, so we'll do 2 and 3 together. It's, I believe, an executive session for this.
It can be.
If needed, it could be executive session.
Do you want to go into executive session on this?
Maybe at the end, there's the changes that we talked about, but otherwise I think it's just general.
I'm fine with it either way.
Well, we'll start with general and then
If we need it going.
if we need to go into executive session. So, item 2,
Update HR real quick with the last minute.
sure.
You can leave that open, they're not actually in executive.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, so we'll start with item 2, step increase request with the prosecuting attorney, Stanley Mortensen.
Stanley Mortensen for the record. Board, thank you for hearing this. As the board likely knows, my criminal division, the attorneys, we're short 20% of the staff. I don't know that there's an end in sight. We're not getting viable applicants at this time, and it's really hurting our caseloads and morale in the office. And so that kind of forced me to analyze the attorney pay scale. As the board knows, the attorney pay scale is kind of unique. It's different than the normal county pay scale. There's a lot of overlap, and there's 5 different tiers. I noticed that under current county policy and the pay scale, I could be hiring new attorneys at a higher rate than I currently am. I am not because of compression issues. The other thing I noticed is that I have the vast majority of my attorneys, if they quit today and I rehired them and then promoted them back to where they are now, they'd all be moving sometimes several steps on the pay scale. And so my request today is to fix those issues. I would like to put these attorneys at an appropriate level on the pay scale in accordance with their years of experience and their time with the county. It will serve 2 purposes. It will allow the prosecutor's office to hire at a higher rate, hopefully filling 20% of my vacancies, filling my 20% vacant rate. And it would also, I think, keep attorneys sticking around the office longer, because if they're paid at an appropriate pay rate, I think they're less likely to go somewhere. The projection, as the county can see, and for the record, I'm choosing to freeze one of my vacant attorney positions to help fund this and make this budget neutral. If I'm reading this correctly, the projected salary savings are going to be a little over $500,000. And again, that's contingent on me not filling one of my vacant positions. The 2024 increase for this is going to be $173,000. So this is well within the budget, making it budget neutral. Before the board decides this matter, I'd like to bring one thing to the board's attention. I believe I was extremely conservative with this request. I'm really only choosing to do the bare minimum at this time. However, in doing this, there are going to be 5 attorneys in my office who will not be getting pay increases. These are attorneys. Some of them have been attorneys for 25 years. Some have been an attorney for 22 years. The other 3 have been attorneys for over 15 years. And they're valued employees. They are not at max on the pay scale. They arguably should be. I would like to not leave them behind. Because I have so much budget savings, I would also request that each of those 5 attorneys move one step closer to max so that they're not left behind. Because what my request is doing, it's raising the bottom, it's raising the middle, but it's really compressing everybody else up against these 5 valued employees that have just basically almost 100 years of experience between the 5 of them. And so I prefer not to leave them behind. I did unloaded projections of my own. It would only cost an additional $13,000 to bring those 5 another step.
Is that on top of the figures that we have right now?
That's on top of the figures you have now. It's just an additional 12,376 not loaded.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
That's my request.
No? Commissioner Brooks?
I have absolutely no problem with that. I think we should do it immediately. I am not one of these people who says, well, we don't want to be at the top of the range, we just want to be close. And the bottom line is, when you're talking a number of positions in this county and attorneys in the prosecutor's office and the public defender's office fall into this category, we should be the highest in the market to attract people. And not only to attract, but to require performance. Because if you're hired at the top of the range for the position, then we expect that kind of performance, and it's the duty of the supervisors to make sure we get it, that people get their money's worth. I have no problem approving it. I think you'll well with it. You'll find good attorneys. You'll attract more, and you'll insist on that perfection.
Commissioner Duncan?
So at this point, I'm fine with the concept in general. I think that there's some specific details that might require an executive session. I'd really rather be there at this point. So for me, I would be comfortable, and Sylvia and I have talked about this, where yes, both of them can hire at the higher level, and then those people directly affected by the compression would be moved up. The civil, I have to think about that because we haven't had a civil opening in a really long time. And so I understand Prosecutor Mortensen's heart towards his people for sure, because I really depend on these civil attorneys, but I'd like more time to think about that. And then there's some other ones that are being moved up, and I don't have the background as to why those people are moving up when there isn't a compression issue. So that's my concern right now. Today I'd be okay to approve the increased hiring pay, and the lower levels that would be directly affected today, and then do a little bit more in-depth analysis and have that conversation.
If I could ask a question, this is Prosecutor Mortensen. So is Chairman saying my original request would be approved, but not what I brought up today?
No, there's some things in the original request that I would want a little bit more detail on, which would require executive session, and that's just going to be a lot for me today. So I would like to get you both started in the right direction, saying, let's do the bottom end first, and then let's make sure that we have all the justification for the top end and for civil.
And just so the record's clear, the additional 5 that were going to be left behind, only about half of those are civil. Some of those were criminal. But I don't know that I can conveniently fix the bottom. It's going to take a little bit more analysis. I have nothing else to say. Thank you.
Well, if there are specifics here that need to be discussed, it seems like we should discuss it all at once and address all the issues, as opposed to just a piecemeal approach here.
I agree with that, but I also don't want to dig into the prosecutor's office and pretend that I know about how to hire an attorney. That's your job. And I trust you to do your job. Same with the public defender. Do your job. And when I don't trust either one of you, then we start changing things and providing more oversight that's necessary than we do now until we get somebody we can trust. I trust both of you completely, and I know what you're trying to do the best for the county.
Commissioner Duncan, I'd almost request that we go into executive session so I could have a better sense as to what it is you're referring to, and then we can decide if it makes sense to revisit this issue when you're here, and then we can have a more thorough conversation, because I'm not sure what you're really referring to exactly as an issue.
That's fine.
Motion.
I move that we enter into an executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74-2061B.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye.
Commissioner, can you ask her if she wants me to call her directly on this stuff?
Okay, so Jonathan will call you. We'll call you right back.
Okay, thank you.
It's 10:49 a.m. Can I get a motion to exit?
I move that we exit executive session.
1B. I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Okay. Are there any other questions for item 2 with the prosecuting attorney?
Just a question from HR. If this is approved, does that forfeit their step anniversary? Has that been factored in?
I would propose that it not affect the step anniversary. What this is going to do is put them where they should be today. Some of these people got their step in the last 5 or 6 weeks since October 1st. They wouldn't get their step till next year. Some of these people, the vast majority of them, have not gotten their step this year because it's in February, March, May. They would still get their step. And so when I determined where they should be on the pay scale, again, there's these kind of set levels. When somebody promotes to AT3, 4, 5, et cetera, where they should be. Employees who haven't gotten their step this year, rather than put them at that fixed rate, I put them a step behind, so they wouldn't get that amount until they hit their step this year.
Yeah.
So I calculated that into my projection.
Okay.
That'll be helpful as we process that through.
Okay. Motion?
I move that we approve the prosecuting attorney's step increase request.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Couldn't hear you there.
Chair Duncan.
Just for point of clarification, does that include the 5 additional deputies I brought up?
Yes.
That includes what you have on today's meeting.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. Thank you, Board.
Just as a point of order, we will need a new list so that payroll knows what they're doing.
Sure, that's what I was going to do. I was going to ask for a new projection, and then we'll send that along.
We don't really need the projection, we
Oh,
just
okay.
need the list so
And where
payroll knows what to key, and
I'll do
that's
that.
what the board has to approve.
Okay, I can do that very quickly. Thank you.
Okay, motion approved. Item 3, step increase request for public defender, and we have Ann Taylor here.
Thank you, Commissioners. I sent through a request to move people up in steps. I did that for the same reason that Prosecutor Mortensen did. I have a lot of trouble hiring people. I would like to move the hiring wage. Not to go over what I've talked about for a long time, we're really short-staffed attorney-wise. We have 11 of 29 attorney positions open. So we're more than 1/3 short of attorneys in our office. What happens when we're that short is we have to conflict additional cases out that wouldn't be a conflict based on co-defendants in a case, but because we can't take care of the clients. The caseloads are excessive. You probably have seen an increase in conflict attorney billings, and some of that directly relates to our being short of lawyers and needing to pass out the work so people can do a good job still. My hope is that we can attract some new attorneys and start spreading that work out. I have people that could be ready to move to the felony level, but I can't move them because I don't have anybody to take a misdemeanor caseload right now. We had somebody leave recently, and I had to disperse that attorney's cases among the attorneys that we already have in the office. That caused me to conflict more cases out because I had people that were overburdened and overloaded. So I need to bump up the starting pay. That creates a situation where I would have a new person coming in that would make more than several attorneys that are showing up every day and working really hard. So I want to move them up. With this projection, I started with them, and when I move them up, I have to continue the space between steps and grades of pay and years of experience and case complexity, and that caused the ripple effect all the way through. You'll see on my chart that I had one person that I said that they were okay where they were at. I confirmed with Sylvia, I thought maybe I should ask to bump that person up if I'm asking for every other attorney, but that person is at the top step. I can't ask to bump that person up. but the impact is the same with case complexity and years of experience to move every single other person up. We have a projected salary savings this year that more than covers what we're asking. It's in really tiny print at the bottom of the projection. It says that we have a projected salary savings of $273,000. This year's increase is $121,000, I think $995. We don't have to think about what happens in 2025 because we'll be in the state system. But what I really need to do is keep the lawyers that we have as we move forward through some unknown territory, but to pay them what they're worth and keep them where they are and just keep our office moving forward.
Commissioner Brooks?
I think the numbers and Ann's argument speaks volumes about what we need.
Commissioner Duncan?
Fine.
Yeah, my big hope is that we can get some people hired and we can cut some of the expense with these conflict attorneys because they have to take the case overload. And with that, it actually hopefully will save the county money. So it makes good sense in this particular situation. So it sounds good with me. A motion?
I move that we approve the step increase request for the Public Defender's Office.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks.
Aye.
Chair Pro Tem Matari.
Aye.
Chair Duncan.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that completes the business items. Anyone for public comment? No public comment. It's 10:56 a.m. and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.